Shalom. First, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, HaKadash. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone, from whom I learned this truth. Shalom to the 144,000 elect. I am Mayakala. And I think the name of this lesson will be Evil Spirits, or something along those lines. And I'll tell you a little bit more as to why I'm calling it Evil Spirits, but I do have a video that I want to bring out also, something that I heard just this morning, which is one of the reasons that prompted me to bring out this lesson. But before I do play the video here, I'm gonna bring out a precept. I'm gonna go to Luke, and chapter 8 and verse 30. But I think I'm gonna start up a little bit. I'm gonna start up at verse 26, and it says, "And they arrived at the country of Gadarenes, which is over against Galilee, and the they being Yahushua and the disciples." Verse 27, it says, "And when he went forth to land, there met him out of the city a certain man, which had devils long time, and wear no clothes, neither abode in any house, but in the tombs." So there's a man that's got devils on him. This is verse 28. "And when he saw Yahushua, he cried out and fell down before him, and with a loud voice said, What have I to do with thee, Yahushua, thou Son of the Most High, thou Son of Yahweh the Most High? Thus I beseech thee, torment me not." For he had commanded the unclean spirit to come out of the man, for oftentimes it had caught him, and he was kept bound in chains and in fetters, and he brake the bands and was driven of the devil into the wilderness. So this man had been, because he was infected with devils, with demons on him. This man was out of control. When he was put in bands and put in fetters, he would break those bands because of his just out of control nature, right? Those devils being on him. This is verse 30. It says, "And Yahushua asked him, saying, What is thy name? And he said, Legion, because many devils were entered into him." So the man's name is Legion, and I want to look up the meaning of that name. I like looking up names, and I'm in the Blue Letter looking at the word Legion. And it is G3003. And I give you a pronunciation of the man's name.
Strong's G 3003. Legion.
All right. And it says a legion, a body of soldiers whose number differed at different times, and in the time of Augustus seems to have consisted of 6,826 men. It says in the Strong's definition of the Latin origin, legion, a Roman regiment. So this man's name being Legion, this man possibly had 6,800 or more devils or spirits or demons on him. And I tell you, what prompted me to bring this verse out was an encounter that I had with the GMS Brothers of Cleveland. And I want to be clear, I'm not a member of GMS, but I do learn from these men, from the Elder Apostle Tahara on down, because they have the 100% truth. And I strongly believe that. And I wouldn't learn from any other men. This is a great group of men. They do have the 100% truth, and anything that they bring out, any questions that you ask, they bring out answers from the scriptures, and they prove it and back it up. So these men have the 100% truth. Well, anyway, we were having a midweek camp, and this was earlier in the week, and off in the distance, and we were just so happened to be discussing how people are infected with demons and have demons on them. And then out of nowhere, almost like on cue, in the distance, we could see a man who appeared to be an Israelite walking up, and he's just talking loud. He's by himself. He's talking loud and cussing and spitting, and you could just see the demons all over him. So he had a stick with him, and he was pulling a wagon. So he could have been possibly homeless, but you could definitely see that this man had demons on him. And that's why I wanted to bring this out. That's also why I want to bring out this video that I'm going to show you. And I do right now I want to say fair use, because this is just for edifying purposes, and it's just to show that at this time, and not only just at this time, but it seems like at a heightened time, you're encountering individuals who, because they have no spiritual teachings in them, no guidance, no understanding of the Most High, Yahweh, and His Son, Yahweh Shai, that these vessels are just empty. They have nothing in them. And when you're empty, your vessel is empty, and you have nothing to fill it, you're vulnerable. You're vulnerable to demons. You're vulnerable to spirits just jumping on you. And it explains the behavior of the many individuals that you see acting out of character today. I don't even want to mention Charlie Kirk, which happened earlier in the week. But like I said, at these times that we're in, you can see how individuals have demons and spirits is jumping on them and possessing them. All right, but I'll talk more about that once I finish. But I'm going to go ahead and let this video play, because this is something, like I said, I heard this morning. And I already knew that I was going to bring out the experience that I had in the midweek camp, because it had been on my mind. And after hearing this story and hearing the story about Charlie Kirk earlier in the week, I knew I wanted to bring it out, and I wanted to bring it out at this time. All right, and like I said, this is fair use. And it's a very short video. And it says, Dallas motel beheading. Victim was running for his life because suspect unalived him, witnesses say. All right, here it is.
Let's move now to the latest in another breaking story we've been following all day long. Also a tragic one. A witness just told us a man was running for his life before a suspect beheaded him with a machete.
This story is extremely disturbing, and we need to warn you that some of the details you're going to hear may not be appropriate for young viewers. This all happened this morning in the parking lot of an East Dallas motel just off I-30 near Samuel Grand Park. Our Cole Sullivan has been on the scene since minutes after the attack. Cole, police tell us they do have a suspect in custody here.
And Dia, they arrested that suspect just about a block from where I'm standing up the road here. We saw a machete on the ground in the parking lot where they arrested that person. But the attack happened here at the downtown suites. It unfolded just after 9:30 this morning, police say. And this is the scene earlier today when police arrived here on scene. A witness I talked to said this was an argument that started out loud between two men in the parking lot of the motel when one of the people, the suspect, went inside a motel room and came back out with a machete and began.
Now keep in mind, this is an argument. You know, arguments do happen. These two men are having an argument, and one goes in back to his room and gets a machete. So whatever they were arguing about, the demon inside him provoked him and prompted him to go right back into his room and get a machete, and he wanted to handle the argument this way. All right, I'll let the story finish before I continue. Salaki.
Flashing the other man. That victim started running for his life, the witness says, and nearly made it to the motel office before he slipped and fell, and the suspect caught up with him.
That's when he got over on the top of him, and then he hit him again, hit him on the foot. Then he trying to split. He was going to go vertical, and he was going to try to split his head. But I guess he changed his mind on that, and then he started just whacking at his neck.
That witness, who did not want her face shown, says that she believes that the suspect hit the victim more than 50 times with the machete. Police say that he died here on scene, and the witness says the suspect never said anything throughout that attack. Dia.
Cole, what do we know about how police were able to catch the suspect?
Police gave a little bit of information at a briefing earlier this afternoon. They say that they were able to get that suspect because they had officers already in this area proactively patrolling. They were on scene within minutes. They arrested him, as I said, about a block from where this attack unfolded. They say, a witness I talked to say that they drove past just before that happened and saw a man who appeared to have blood on him in the parking lot of a beer mart just up the road. Police say that they haven't released the name, I should say, of that suspect yet, but police say they expect to bring serious charges, as you would imagine, against him. Dia.
All right, our Cole Sullivan reporting for us live on another tragic situation today. We appreciate that. Stay with us for continuing coverage on both of these developing stories. Senior Crime and Justice report.
All right. So, because of an argument, it prompted the demon or demons that was in this individual. It prompted him to go back to his room, get a machete, and come back and proceed to chop off a man's head. You know, he chops off a man's head from an argument. That's an irrational behavior. Now, that can only be explained by demons. You got a demon inside of you that could allow somebody to make you so angry that you not only chop off their head, but you thinking about it all the way back to your room as you're getting the machete, and you come back and act in such an irrational manner. That's demons. That's a demon on a person. All right, and I just wanted to bring that out to show that this is happening, and this is happening at a high rate, an alarming rate. All right, just to go back and finish up the story about the midweek camp that I was with the Cleveland GMS brothers. As this individual pulling the wagon with the stick in his hand approaches, we're just kind of we're looking at him, keeping an eye on him, and he walks up, and of course he stops. He stops right there in front of the camp where we're set up, and he's just growling and spitting. And you can plainly see that demons were on him. And just like I said, this happened to be the topic of discussion at the moment, or just prior to him walking up. So it was as if it was right on cue, and that's the way I looked at it, because it taught me something at that instance. Because as this demon stood there, he just growled and looked around. And he immediately drew back that stick, and he was aimed at me. He was in mid-swing. And of course, I braced myself, and of course, all the brothers were there. They braced themselves, and everybody reacted beautifully, because nobody stepped out of the spirit. None of these GMS brothers lost the spirit. All right, they kept the spirit on him. And me, I might have acted in an irrational manner, but because my brothers were there and the way they reacted and kept the spirit on them, at mid swing, at mid swing, it was just like he was just about to raise up and swing it. One of the brothers, Rayab, stepped forward and said, "I rebuke you in the name of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. I rebuke this demon in the name of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai." And just as he said that man lowered, or that demon lowered that stick, and he just walked around. He was pacing back and forth and growling. And then the Bishop Kazak, he stepped forward and said, "This man is an Israelite. He's not going to do anything." And as soon as he said that, the man said, "I'm a Satanist." The demon said, "I'm a Satanist." And he just stood there growling and growling. He was almost like he knew the spirit of the Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai was residing right there where he was, and he couldn't do anything. He lowered that stick, he grabbed his wagon, and he proceeded to walk on down the street and pulled his wagon, still cussing, still spitting, and he just kept walking. And like I said, the brothers of GMS behaved beautifully. They stayed in the spirit, which kept me in the spirit, and I felt as though it was there for me to witness that, for me to go through that, and to see how you have to stay in the spirit. Because if you don't have something in your vessel, which is what the GMS brothers provide, they give you 100% truth of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai's word and the truth. And that's what you fill your vessel with. That's what you fill yourself with. Because just like the verse that I just read in Luke, the spirits, they will jump on you. Let me just go to Luke. I'm stay in the book of Luke. I'm going to go to verse 11. And I'm going to go down to 20. The point is at 26, but I'm going to start at 24. It says, "When the unclean spirit is gone out of a man, he walketh," and this is in red letters, so this is Yahweh Shai speaking. Verse 24, it says, "When the unclean spirit is gone out of a man, he walketh through dry places, seeking rest, and finding none. He saith, I will return unto my house." Now, because that house is an empty vessel right now, and that house hasn't filled itself with anything, this is what the Spirit says. It says, "I will return unto my house whence I came out. And when he cometh, he findeth it swept and garnished," meaning the vessel that demon had left out of initially was there, and it was still unoccupied. It was vulnerable because it hadn't been filled with the Holy Spirit. It hadn't been filled with the spirit of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. It says, "And when he cometh, he findeth it swept and garnished." Verse 26, "Then goeth he and taketh to him 7 other spirits more wicked than himself, and they enter in and dwell there. And the last state of that man is worse than the first." You see that? So when that spirit is driven out, that demon is driven out, and you don't fill that vessel with the truth, with the true word of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, and maintain the spirit, that demon comes back, and he comes back not alone. He comes back with 7 or more, and he's going to occupy, and you're going to be in a worse position, in a worse state than you were at the beginning. That's the kind of thing that prompts a man to, after having an argument with another man, gets so irrational that he goes back to his room and gets a machete and chops off his head. It's because that's demon possession. You're just taking over, and you do things that you normally wouldn't do. You do things that a person that's filled with the Spirit wouldn't do. All right, and I just have one more verse that I want to bring up because I didn't want to make this too long, but I definitely Spirit moved me to talk about what I experienced and what I witnessed the other day, the power of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. All right, I'm going to go to Ephesians. And this will be the last one I bring out. Chapter 6. And I'm going to start at 10. It says, "Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of the Most High, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places." And I'm going to read that last verse in the NLT. Verse 12, it says, "For we are not fighting against flesh and blood enemies, but against evil rulers and authorities of the unseen world, against mighty powers in this dark world, and against evil spirits in heavenly places." All right. And I wanted to bring that out in the NLT because I think the NLT makes it plain right there. So I'm going to end this here. And I pray that this has been edifying to the listener. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakah HaKadosh. Shalom.